So I am still in Korea, and now I'm going over to cover some bars and cafes in Korea. There are many cafes and bars in Korea that have really nice systems. One of them is the Bruno Music Bar. Now, thanks to Bruno, he reached out to me via Instagram and invited me over here to listen to the RCA Photophone 1937 speaker system. Now, these speakers were at the time a competition with Western Electric speakers. And this one right now features a 15-cell dual throat compression driver horn, as you can evidently see behind me. And it also features a really interesting folded horn kind of design for the 15-inch woofer. Now, Bruno, the owner of the system and this bar who invited me, also owns a brand called brunoco. Now, this brand has a very interesting story behind it. Now, he also used to live in Vancouver, which is Canada, which is where I'm from, but I'm from Toronto, right? So he actually has a system there that features a JBL Hartsfield speakers. Now, I've heard those speakers and those are some amazing, one of the best speakers I've ever heard. Now, simply, he wanted to design a tube amplifier that would go well with those, type of speakers. And so he's decided to, build his own tube amplifiers. And there's no coupling capacitors in these monoblocks that you see here. These are called the Titans. And it is a 60-watt push-pull design. And quite interestingly, he's a bit of a purist. Well, I would say he is a purist. He wants nothing in the signal path. He wants basically, the purest signal possible to make these horn speakers shine. So initially it was for JBL Hartsfield. Now it is for the RCA, as you can see in this video. So very interesting. He also has integrated amplifiers. Now these do have coupling capacitors, but they feature a more warmer type of sound signature. And I heard them with the RCA speakers behind me. And I have to say, I actually cried. And this is a first. I usually sometimes cry when in my own system, when I hear music that is emotionally connecting to me, right? But I never actually went to do a coverage and started crying. Now, I brought a friend with me and he can attest I cried, right?
Yes, you cried like a baby.
But seriously, the track he played was The Moon Represents My Heart. Now, this is a Chinese music, and actually I don't really even understand all of the lyrics. I understand one word, and that's wo I ni, which means I love you. I'm pretty sure. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But the voice is it's not an unfamiliar track to me. I listened to this track a few times, but I've never experienced this track in such a way, such an emotional way that it actually made me tear up. And the funny thing is, I have no emotional connection with this track, yet it made me so emotionally involved with the music that I was listening to that it made me tear up. Now, after we ate some pizza and we listened to the RCA speakers more and more, and every single track, every single music that came on, I was simply just flabbergasted. Now, to this day, I've heard Western Electric speakers, I've heard lots of horn systems, but I don't think I have heard such a emotionally involving with multiple different types of music, from jazz to rock to acoustic music to vocals. Everything just made the music emotionally involving. And it's almost like a full-scale response as well. I experienced some horn speakers where it's just really mid-range and high frequency heavy. It's very sweet and nice, but it's never this much involving in the bass region as well, like textured, the tonality, the sound staging, the imaging. Often horn speakers, I feel like, don't exactly have audiophile qualities that some of us look for, like imaging and separation and stuff like that. But when you hear the RCA speakers, not that it matters, those things just fly out the window. You don't sit down and listen to these speakers and start pinpointing little things, because honestly, you're too busy listening to the music and being involved emotionally with the music. And that's what I experienced today, thanks to Bruno. And these speakers, quite honestly, I've heard, like I said, Western Electric, JBL, Hartsfield, and many speakers that is deemed legendary and quote unquote, hard to find, right? Like rare. But RCA speakers, I've never heard before. I've never heard RCA Photophone system. And these are special. And I mean, initially I didn't have this expectation because the 15 cell, these are really interesting designs, but it's not like I haven't heard, speakers with this type of cell before. Altac A7 has similar type of cell design as well. Many other horn speaker designs as well, mostly theater designs like the RCA. But, I now understand why some people that heard RCA speakers and not even the full thing, right? This is the first time I heard a full design. And in fact, Bruno, he took 2 full years to scavenge and find parts to make this full system, including the original crossover. I mean, look at this original crossover. That is not a speaker crossover that you see in your speakers or mine in the modern day world. Yet, this old system that you might look at and be like, well, okay, that can't sound good, sounds amazing. It is the best sound I've ever heard emotionally speaking. Musicality, like every track, I just want to sit here and just stay here for the rest of my Korean trip. That's how good this system was. Now, this is not just about the RCA speakers though. The RCA speakers, amazing. I'm glad I had this experience. They are just phenomenal speakers, and that's why Bruno took 2 years to get this system going. And his words, and I agree as well, these do not compare to even the legendary JBL Hartsfield. Now again, this is not just about the speakers. His amplifiers were specifically designed, again, his goal wasn't to sell this to the mass market. In fact, when he reached out to me, he was like reluctant. He's like, oh, I designed my own amplifiers, but mainly it was not to make money, but to make, these speakers sing. And you know what? I think he should make this available to the rest of us just everywhere, because everyone needs to hear this amplifier. I've heard some Western Electric amplifiers and some legendary amplifiers in the past, but he follows a very specific design topology that is well known in the 1930s. And I think I have to say, even compared to some of the Western Electric amplifiers that I have at home that I've collected, these just sound so pure and amazing and emotionally connecting that I'm gonna just have to get one for myself to try at home. And I think I will. I even told Bruno that I'm going to contact him when I go back to Canada to order one from him. And I think I'm gonna keep that promise.
About 20 years ago, I happened to get a horn, not this horn, but there was 12 horn set, 12 cell horn, just single horn. I got it from the United States, but that came with a pair of tube amplifiers. That was just a bonus or something. And after I got it, I was so curious because the materials and the feel that I got is different from all the other horns that I treated. So I decided to gather all the parts, like the driver and the woofer and the enclosure, and finally the original network systems. It took about 2 years to assemble everything, and I just searched everywhere in the United States to gather all this stuff and bring it to Korea. And after that, I assembled it and made a complete system. And after that, I found out that I was right, because I just descended. I lost appetite about audio. I just descended from the audio mountain and then didn't do much. Since then, I tried to match this speaker with the best amplifier. So I was originally interested in the tube amplifiers. So I got over 100, mostly United States tube amplifiers, all the famous US tube amplifiers from 1920s to until 1980s, I think. I tried about over 100 tube amplifiers, but I couldn't find any good feeling about that. So after that, I just decided to make my own for these speakers. This Titan 6550 push-pull amplifier was made. It was made for my Hartsfield speaker in my basement in Canada. And it was the same story. That I had a Hatchfield, but I'm not content with any of the market tube amplifiers. I made my own. But my approach was a little bit different because this is direct coupling from the first tube till the final output transformer. There is no coupling capacitor. That means it is called direct coupling. And to do that, you need something like called interstage transformer. You need some signal transformer. So I just designed one and then made it myself. So after this, it was pretty satisfactory to drive my Hatchfield speaker because it has the power and the clarity and the driving ability that can easily drive the very difficult 15-inch back-loaded horn of Hatchfield speaker. And I was just content with myself, but soon after that, I was introduced by some very famous audiophile in my city, and he was over 50 years experience, but he just listened to my amplifier and he was just hooked, and then he asked me to sell it to him. I told him that this was just prototype, and it was not cheap because it's handmade. But he said, okay, I just want this, and I sold it. And then there was the start of my tube amplifier business. So I'm just asked to build something for them, and then I sell it just one by one. This 6L6 20 watts per channel Terra integrated amplifier was specially made for my RCA Photophone system. I tried many amplifiers and found out that 6L6 about 20 watts is very suitable for my system. So I decided on 20 watts 6L6, and this amplifier doesn't have a negative feedback. Even though this has the normal coupling capacitors, this has this is zero negative feedback and hardwired by hand, and also all the transformers are just made myself. So I just made it very accurately to match each channel. So it is greatly matched with the RCA Photophone system because it shares the emotional content that the Photophone system has. It has the same blood, I think. So it makes all the music warmer and very emotional. So I think it was a good success. And this thing, the next to this is the same model, backup model for this music bar, but this has the separate. This has the stereo volume, and the one we are using right now, it is the mono volume for each channel, so that we can just adjust the stereo balance very accurately. So this is basically the same amplifiers, and this is the 3.5 watt 2A3 single-ended amplifier. I like this amplifier very much because when the RCA Photophone was made in 1937, I'm pretty sure that these kinds of tubes were used because they have the same birth date, similar birth date, and it's much purer than, even though this has only 3.5 watts, these high efficiency the PRS speakers were meant to be driven by very small watts. So even with this 3.5 watts single tube amplifier, this can easily drive the RCA Photophone system, and even this is much purer than these push-pull or other higher wattage amplifiers. RCA Photophone speaker was completed in around 2002, about 20 years ago. And after that, because the speaker is too big, the height is over 2.3 meters, so that doesn't fit any normal spaces like house or even small offices. So that went through all the different places like warehouse and my friend's office, etc., etc. And finally they got stuck in a very small warehouse. Of course, I could go and listen to it from time to time, but it was not treated well. for a long time. And about 2 years ago, my friend visited my place. I mean the warehouse where the photophone was. And he listened to the speaker, and he was a music lover. He loved to go to all the concerts, but he was not an audiophile at all. But I found out that he had the golden ear. He could tell all the small differences. He was so sensitive on sound, and after he listened to the speaker, he was so moved. He was a very big guy, and he was so moved, and so with tears drops near his eyes, and then he told me that, Bruno, this is not fair. You just listen to this amazing speaker just for yourself. You should open something like music bar in Gangnam area in Seoul, and then you should make people enjoy this heritage. And by his advice, I found out, wow, that is the thing that these speakers should be located. So that's why this Bruno Music Bar was opened. About now we are here and we meet all the friends like Jay here in Seoul.
So like the sole purpose of opening this bar was the RCA speakers.
Yes, sole purpose of this music bar was for these RCA Photophone speakers of 1937.